Live. I know we're 2 minutes late or a minute late. Some of you might have thought, what happened? It's all good. Steve had to reboot his computer, so he will be on with us momentarily. And we have Bill Lowen, professional fisherman, and he is already on. And so we're just waiting for Steve to hop on. Hey, Jeff Lauer, how are you doing, man? I sent you a message. I need to get your email address, man. If you could send it to me, I would appreciate it. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and connect Mr. Lowen, and then we'll get Steve on as soon as he can join. Hello, Bill Lowen.
How you doing, buddy?
Elite champion, Pickwick Lake 2021. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Steve's on. He just had to reboot his computer, so don't be alarmed that it's me instead of him.
No, it's all good.
But we're happy to have you on the show, Bill. Really excited. And we will kind of get rolling here. Just kind of follow the chat for a minute until Steve hops on. And then we'll kind of get going officially. So how have you been?
Good. Can't complain.
Good. You look good. And how's things now that you're in decompress mode, right?
Well, it's been a little interesting. We got home from the New York deal and ended up catching the crazy COVID thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we fought that for like 30 days, but everything's good now.
That COVID's scary. There's 2 NPFL anglers that have died recently from COVID,
Yep. It is. It's a nasty mess. I know that for sure.
Yeah. Did you know either of those guys, Skeeter or what's the other guy's name? Just looking at that today.
I did not know either one of them.
Seemed like really, really good guys. Die-hard fishermen, boy. It's a rough deal.
Yes, sir. It sure is.
Do not understand why it's taken so many good people. All right, we got people in here saying hi to you. I don't know. Can you see the comments?
I can.
Okay, good. If while we're going through the show, we kind of look, if you ever see anything on there, you just want to shout out to anybody, help yourself. It doesn't bother us at all. And if you don't want to, that's great too.
Right. I don't know if I'm talented enough to look at the camera and read the messages all at the same time.
Man, it is. It's a little tricky. It is a little tricky trying to pull that off for sure. But Tom says hi. Kyle Mollett, dollar bill in the house. Right. Yep.
Move this out here a little bit.
Yeah, you can see you pretty good.
All right.
So you got any? I know you're a deer hunter. I know that's a part of your life. You got hunting plans coming up?
Typically that's what our. Hey, there he is,
dude.
All right, let's move.
Sorry.
There we go. Good. Now we got it.
There's my boy.
Yes, sir. How are you, bud?
Good, man. I'm so happy to see you.
I'm happy to be here.
Okay, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, we were talking about deer hunting and all that, but yeah, typically that's what our fall revolves around. I'm probably honestly a bigger waterfowl hunter than I am a deer hunter. I love to bow hunt, and I'll bow hunt till duck and goose season starts, and then duck and goose hunt the rest of the year. But regardless of whatever we're doing, it's always something in the outdoors. So yeah, this fall is a decompressed time. Gonna be a long fall since we got finished so early, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So as far as waterfowl goes, what's your flavor of choice? Mostly ducks?
It doesn't matter as long as they got web feet.
Yeah. So you live in Indiana, right?
I do.
Yeah. So where do you go? I mean, where's the good waterfowl hunting spots in that area?
Right here where I'm at, it's really close to the Ohio River, and we got 3 rivers that come together: the Ohio, the Whitewater, and the Great Miami. Typically, when I'm local, that's where I'm at. But I do a lot of traveling too, to Arkansas and places like that. Like I said, I'd rather waterfowl hunt, I think, than do anything.
Gotcha. Well, that's cool. I mean, everybody that loves to fish loves the outdoors, no matter what, and it's true for me. I do a little duck hunting with one of the guys from work here, and but I take advantage of fishing when the hunting's going on.
Well, typically that's when nobody's on the lake because everybody's sitting in a tree or hiding in a boat line.
That's right. That's right. So I really enjoy that. Although I have had a few years, couple years, in fact, last year or 2 years ago, I almost got shot. I had a bullet fly right past my head. I mean, literally inches during hunting season while I was on the water. That was scary. That was scary.
I bet.
They do that to us when we get on the lagoon. When they go duck hunting, they try to give us a little warning shot. Look, we're over here. You need to not go red fishing in this area.
Well, look, when you're in them decoys and they ain't moving, there's a really good chance they're not real.
Those things that just stay on the side, they need to stay away from. That's what you're saying. So how's the family? How's everyone doing up there?
Everybody's doing good. I know you missed out on the beginning of the segment, but we caught the COVID and we fought that for like 30 days. Pretty much right after we got back from New York. But other than that, everybody's great.
Did you didn't get it from what I'm calling iCovid instead of iCast?
Well, it's a long story. That's all I'm gonna say. I didn't go to iCast, but I got sick from somebody that went to iCast.
I mean, in all honesty, I don't know many people who didn't get sick after iCast. And I got vaccinated, so I didn't get sick. But I know Marcella. I think so. Marcella got sick and got her boyfriend sick, and then it was just seemed like everyone got sick. So it was. Why didn't you come down for iCast? Out of curiosity, were you just being safe?
Well, no, not necessarily. A lot of my sponsors really much said, "Hey, look, if you ain't gonna come, don't come if you don't want to come." So I took advantage of that, and we stayed on Lake Ontario for like 10 days and caught big smallmouth every day. So yeah, that's one of the first iCasts I believe that I've ever missed. So it was a little weird. Felt like he was doing something wrong.
Yeah, I remember walking around and thinking, I'm going to see Bill somewhere around here and say hello, and then I kept walking, and I'm like, maybe he's working a booth. And then every time I went to the places I knew was one of your sponsors, I'm like, he ain't here. And then I thought,
if I would have went, I probably wouldn't have got sick.
Well, I don't know about that, man. It seemed like everyone got sick.
Right.
So sorry. Speaking COVID, it started last year. Have you had to change how you fish over the last 2 years because of what's going on?
Not really. You know me and you know my family well enough, as most of everything we do revolves around the outdoors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So unless we're at a family function or something, we're typically outside in nature. As far as the fishing goes, I'm very fortunate that we camp everywhere we go, so I don't have to worry about the hotels and things like that. But it's crazy. It's just like we're all trying to figure out what's going on, and nobody knows what the heck's going on. I think we're all in the same boat. So yeah, I think it's one of them situations where you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
I was just going to say, speaking of COVID, Bill, the other elite anglers we've had on and talked to, one of the questions we've been asking them is how you like the this year where they dropped a tournament due to COVID.
I can understand why they did it. You know what I mean? The drop actually, when it first came out, it hurt me a lot. It dropped me a bunch in the standings.
Oh, did it?
But you got to, you got to catch them every day, regardless of if they drop a tournament or not. So I guess I kind of got mixed emotions about the drop tournament. I understand totally why they did, but I'd like to have points for every event that we fished.
Gotcha.
I think this is the first year they've ever done that, right?
I believe so.
It was a little odd that they did it because in some instances it helped, like it helped Cox.
Yeah, like I said, some guys it helped and some guys it hurt. Now,
yeah,
I still wouldn't have qualified for the Classic even with the drop, so that didn't hurt me as far as that goes. But when you see, you think, oh, I'm going to drop my worst tournament, I'm going to move up a little bit. Well, when I dropped like I did, I was like, holy moly. But like I said, once again, that isn't why I didn't qualify for the Classic. So I'm not trying to use that as an excuse by no means.
Since this whole Major League Fishing 3 years ago, the new crop of anglers that have come into the elites, did you think that these new guys that would come in were just going to be as good as they are? I mean, some of these guys are just ridiculous.
Well, I'm going to put it like this, and I've said this from day one of my career. There's always going to be that next Kevin Van Dam, if you want to say it like that. Okay. And let's face it, there's a lot of guys out there that are going to chase this dream and never have the opportunity to live it. You know what I mean? So what I have said since day one is what this did was give those guys that may have not ever had a chance to come an opportunity. And I'm going to tell you, like you said, they are as good as it gets. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Now that
it seems like when you make it to the elites, everybody's as good as it gets. But man, this crop that has come here in the last couple of years, every one of them are hammers.
Yeah.
So now that the 3 years, the first 3 years now is over, some of these new guys are discovering how hard it is to stay consistent. Year by year by year. How have you been able to manage it for so long? Because you've been on the elites now 16 years, is that right?
Yeah, 15 or 16, something like that. You're trying to make me feel old.
16, by the way. We've known each other for 12 years.
Right. And I always hate to keep harping on the Ohio River, but that's where I was born and raised. That's where I cut my teeth. Heck, when I was a kid, I could walk from my house to the Ohio River in about 10 minutes and fish in the marina. So, I mean, what the Ohio River did for me was teach me how to catch what I believe is one of the toughest fisheries in the country, but figure out how to catch them consistently on the Ohio River. And all I've done, honestly, is just take what I've learned here and carry it with me to the elites. I mean, y'all know that I'm a shallow water angler, and I go in the mud, and my trolling motor's not turning up mud. I don't want to be fishing there. My very first year on tour, that's exactly what I did. All my buddies said, man, how are you going to go fish the elites? You've never been anywhere pretty much away from home. How are you going to do it? And I said, well, I'm just going to go and fish the way that I fish. I mean, I see guys like Denny Brower that made a career fishing shallow with a flipping rod. I'm just going to go play my game. And if it works, it works. And if not, I probably don't deserve to be there. My first year, I think I finished 25th in the points, qualified for the tour. My second year was one of the worst years I ever had on tour. And I went and I tried to play somebody else's game. I tried to listen to the doc talk. And, if we were at Kentucky Lake, I'd try to go out there and throw a DD98 or a Strike King X25 out there deep, and I'd get my tail kicked. You know what I mean? So that third year, I told my wife, I said, hey, look, I'll never do this again. I will play my game until my career's over. And that's pretty much what I've done. Now, if I know I got to go offshore and that's where it's going to be, go down, then I'll make myself go there. But if I can keep myself up there shallow, that's where I'm going to stay. And I've always said, when you're fishing in your comfort zone, you fish the best of your abilities. And I think that's just why I've been able to stay so consistent over so many years.
Yeah, well, that's really the key to success, professional fishing for sure, is just being able to be consistent. And you've really done it. It's quite an accomplishment, quite an achievement for sure.
I know this. I know these answers. That's the horrible thing. But can you tell everybody how you got started in fishing? How was it? Was it your dad, your grandpa? Who took you out and got the bug in you?
So my father was a tournament fisherman, not on the level that we are here now, but everything pretty much local on the Ohio River. So he'd carry me along when he was practicing and things like that. And that's kind of what got the bug in me, and then when I got, I don't know, 15, 16, 17, old enough to drive and have my own boat, or his boat, I should say, he kind of got out of it a little bit, and I kind of just took over full speed. So my father was really the one that introduced me to it. And then, like every fisherman, I had people along the way when I was younger, help me out. Funny story, that marina I told you that I could walk to from my house when I was a kid. There was this guy that would always come in there in this big, pretty bass boat, and he'd be tournament fishing. And here we are as kids, 12, 13, 14. We didn't know any better. I'd be standing on the bank with a rooster tail, catching his fish and putting them in a basket. So he'd come in there to tournament fish, and here we would have a whole basket full of fish. And long story short, he turned it out to be like one of my best friends, and actually one day said, "Hey, look, you ever tournament fish?" And I was like, "No." This was when I was, 14, 15. And he actually took me fishing and kind of, how do I say this? He took it to the next level for me, I guess I should say, as far as patterning fish and what to look for and things like that. So yeah, had maybe I never been standing on the bank putting his fish in the basket so we could eat them, we might not be talking today. You know what I mean? But it just seems like along the way for me, I've had so many people help me out to get me to the elite level.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Go ahead.
You want me to go?
Yeah. Okay. Since I went, I'm letting
somebody go.
Gotcha. Yeah. Somebody go.
That awkward silence just was there.
It was there, wasn't it? One of the things I wanted to ask you, Bill, is you are a shallow water angler. Everybody knows that about you. You did an amazing job at Pickwick, and we probably want to ask you some questions about that in a minute. But I was interested in the fact that we have been talking nonstop here the last year or two or three about electronics and about all this offshore fishing with the down imaging and side imaging and mega lives and all these things. How do you utilize or does it matter for shallow water fishermen? Because I think the majority of anglers that are fun fishermen, we're shallow water guys. Unless you live up north and you fish the waters up waters up north. Down here in the Midwest and the South, we fish shallow. Most of us do. But we're all going out and buying all these units and spending crap tons of money just because everybody's getting them. But at the elite level, as a shallow water fisherman, I mean, kind of what's your strategy? How's it impact your ability or your fishing?
It's impacted my fishing tremendously. Because like you said, I'm a shallow water guy. I'd run one graph on the dash and one graph on the bow. Traditional 2D and let's go. If I wanted to know how deep it was, I'd stick my rod in the bottom or stick my rod in the water.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 4 eyes deep. Let's go. And I was the guy, honestly, that fought the whole electronics thing. I'm like, oh, I don't need 360 or I don't need live. And then I got 360 and I truly learned how to use it. And it opened my eyes up to even up there shallow, up in that 3 to 6 foot deep water. Opened my eyes up to truly how many opportunities I was missing by structure that I couldn't see, whether that be a isolated stump or a rock or a laydown or just something. And you actually seen me at Pickwick catch a fish off of an isolated laydown that was out there that I'd have had no idea that was out there. Now that fish didn't help me, but there's days when that fish would have been golden. So like I said, I fought getting the 360 just because, oh my God, I don't want to learn something else. And I got it and I learned it. And now there's no way I wouldn't have it on my boat. Same thing for the Mega Live. I'm like, heck, man, I don't need that. I got 360. I can go shallow. I can do whatever I want. Well, then I got the Mega Live and truly learned how to use it. And now I'm thinking to myself, how can you possibly even not have it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now I feel like the Mega Live is it going to work all the time? Maybe not, unless you like, that's what you're going to live and die by. But I see certain situations where, without a doubt, if you don't have Mega Live or something like that, you're going to get your teeth kicked in. You know, so once again, like I said, I was that guy that fought it and said, heck no, man, I don't need that stuff. But once you get it and learn it, and that's the biggest hurdle that you got to get over as an angler, especially a shallow water angler, is that you got to get it and you got to learn it. You can't just put it on your boat and turn it on every once in a while and say, okay, I got it, but I don't ever use it. So the whole key is to put it on there and learn it. That was another reason we stayed up at Lake Ontario for that 10 extra days, so I could play with my live and really truly learn how to use it. You know, my son, he's 9, and you know, the kids know everything about electronics and gaming and everything like that, you know, so I can see them smallmouth out there swimming around at 30 feet, and I'm trying to figure out how far of a 30-foot cast I need to make. You know, I'm like, okay, the boat's 21 foot long. I go 9 more feet past that, and I'll be right on him. Well, by the time I do that, my son's already made the cast and caught the fish. I'm like, what am I even doing up here? You know, the first day that he used it, he actually caught 9 off of it before I caught my first one.
Wow.
Finally, I had to push him down in the bottom of the boat so I could catch one.
Fish are in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Backbone him.
Yep.
Okay, now I'm going to stick with this. Is there a point where there's just too much of it, though, and it kind of hurts tournament fishing? Do you have that idea? And, I mean, it just seems like everyone is just bombarded. You have every different unit. First off, is there ever going to be too much? Does it hurt? Do you think it'll ever hurt tournament fishing? And do you think at some point the fish are going to start to feel those vibrations or the sounds and that stuff, and it could hurt your fishing?
I already feel like we kind of have conditioned some of those offshore fish. I mean, how many times you hear guys talk about, oh, if you idle over them, you bust the school up, or they're just not going to bite and things like that. Look, to me, every animal in nature, whether that be a deer or a duck or a fish, get conditioned to things. And I believe that they get conditioned to it. I believe you got to be a lot more stealthy about your approach. Do I feel like it's going to hurt tournament fishing or, you know, hurt the fisheries? I don't believe so. What I feel like it's done is it's opened up, especially the lives, it's opened up a fish to us that we've never been able to catch before. You know what I mean? Those fish that have been suspended out there and been able to hide, you know, it gives us the opportunity to catch those. And with that being said, not only bass fishing, crappie fishing, whatever that may be, us as anglers need to take the responsibility of, you know, I mean, because look, if you can catch every crappie out of a tree, we got to let some of them go.
Yeah.
You know? So us as anglers need to be responsible knowing that, because, I mean, I don't want to say you could deplete a thing, but boy, you can sure catch a lot more than you used to be able to because you know exactly where to throw now. But, you know, the genie's already out of the bag, so I don't believe it's ever going to be put back in the bag, you know? So that was the other reason, like I said, I fought it for so long. It's like, hey man, you're going to have to learn this. You can't fight it any longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good to hear you say that. You know, one of the things, we had Jacob Wheeler on and we asked him this question, and one thing that he said that really kind of made me think hard is he said, since this Mega Live and these technologies have come out, he said, I have learned more about bass behavior than ever in my entire career. And that was like a light bulb moment for me where I said, wow, I need to get into this. I need to learn. I probably need to not ignore this as well, because anything you can do to learn more about bass behavior, it's going to give you an edge. It's going to help you become a better angler for sure.
Absolutely. You know, you see fish do things that you'd have never imagined. And once again, I don't know if that's from electronics pings or whatever, but you actually will see fish swim away from you. You know what I mean? Or you'll present a bait to them and they'll go the opposite direction. So, I mean, it's like, hey, what's going on here? You know what I mean? So, like you said, like Jacob said, man, you see things that and reactions from fish that you typically wouldn't see or you wouldn't even know.
Yeah. I watched an interesting video just the other day from the Hook and Look guys. They get in the water and videotape fish behavior, and then they put one up about what fish see underneath mats.
Right.
You look at a mat and you think it's solid, thick there, and that there's no life under there, or how if you can't get a bait hardly through there, they probably can't see you at all. And so they were under there with the camera, and the stuff you could see, they could see your fishing line going across the lily pads. They could see your frog. They could see, the detail that they could see, it's just amazing how much more it's wide open to them. They can see everything, literally everything.
I don't think we give them enough credit.
Yeah, we probably don't, do we?
Yeah, we don't give them enough credit. We think that they're stupid. That's the problem. We go fishing why would anyone eat, like Larry the Cable Guy? Dan says this joke about how he goes bass fishing. He's like, I've never seen anything that would have something that's fake dropped up on their face and then open their mouth and eat it thinking it was real. And if a pork chop comes down out of the sky here, are you going to eat it? Hell no.
Maybe.
Depends on what kind of pork chop it is.
Yeah, that's right.
What color it is.
That's right.
Do you keep up with the Major League Fishing stuff? Do you watch all of the tournament stuff? Because I know you have friends over there.
I don't. I guess I'm really not one of them guys that sits around and watches all that stuff. But I will check in and out on it just to see, because I want to see what kind of weights are being caught and things like that, just for future events. You know what I mean? Because just because we're not going there next year don't mean that maybe we won't be there in 2 years or 3 years at that same time. So I want to see kind of what's going on technique-wise and weight-wise and things like that, just so it kind of gives me a general idea.
Have you looked at looking at next year's schedule for the elites, going back to a lot of familiar places? Is there any place that you're, other than that Lake Ohio, whatever it is, Oahu, whatever it is? Oahu, is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm. I guess, I don't know.
I don't know either. I looked at the schedule and was like, there's a lot. You're going back to a lot of places. Have you looked at it and thought, okay, I'm really excited about this place, and what is that place?
If I had to say a place that excites me to go back to, would be the Mississippi River at La Crosse. Okay. I just really like that place. Sometimes it kicks my butt, but it's just a place that I just really like. Just the scenery, the fishery, everything about it. But you've probably heard me say this before, is I don't really try to get too wrapped up in where we're going and the events and things like that. I feel like, at least for me, that if I try to plan or try to say, look, when I get to Oahu, this is what I'm going to do. If I try to do that, that hurts me. Okay. So what I've always done in my career is, and you hear Ike and Ellie say this all the time, I want to show up and I want to fish the moment. I want to fish the conditions that we have at that time, because typically there's the chance of it being the same as it was last time you were there, pretty much slim to none. Yeah. So I've always been that guy that shows up with no preconceived notion, and I try to fish the conditions.
Yeah, I understand that.
So as far as the schedule goes, you've got basically a tournament that starts in February and then one that ends in August.
Long year.
Yeah. Are you happy about that, or do you? Is that kind of in your wheelhouse, or would you like to see shorter season, more tournaments, less tournaments?
I'd love to see more tournaments. I'm the kind of guy that once I get going, I don't want to stop. I don't want to break. Let's just keep rolling. But I would love to see us fish later into the year, kind of like we did last season, where we fished all the way into, I believe it was November.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To me, the hardest times of the year to catch a fish are August, September, and October during that transitional period. And those are the days when 12 pounds a day are typically really good, unless you go to Lake Fork or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for me, man, I'd love to see the season go longer. Definitely into the fall. But it could stop right before deer season or duck season.
Yeah, right.
When you have that later schedule, Do you like it that because you're fishing more consistently, that you feel like you're in the groove of fishing instead of having those 4 or 5 week breaks where you're like, come on, can we tie it in a little bit tighter? Is that how you feel?
Yeah, pretty much. As long as I keep going wide open 100%, I'm good. But if you throw a 4 or 5 week break on me, man, and get me out of my rhythm, I'm like an old car. It just kind of takes me a while to get back going.
Are you? Do you fish a lot of the opens regularly? I know I've seen you at some of the opens.
I've fished some opens. I don't fish a lot. I don't think I've ever fished a whole series of an opens since I started back in 06. I just jump in one here and jump in one there. I talked about doing that last year, and I talked about doing it this year, and I just didn't. You know, I'm on the road so much, and the wife and the kids are always with me that, you know, the opens is another big commitment. It's a lot more time on the road and things like that. So,
for sure.
I don't know. It's kind of, I always toss it up in the air every year. Am I going to try to fish them or not? And once again, this year, I'm thinking about, are we going to try to fish them next year? You know, so we'll just have to wait and see how that all plays out.
Right on.
You made a big change this year, changing into that Express boats, powered by Yamaha, of course, our great friend Brad. But let's just give a little hat tip to Brad right now. I mean, that's going to make you a lot shallower running in that boat. But what was the thought process, and was it to get shallower and have that not as deep running boat?
So this is actually my 4th year.
Is it
running an Express? Absolutely.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Where you been at, huh?
I asked Brad this question personally. I said, "Did he just switch?" He goes, "He just switched." I'm like,
"No, 4 years ago." Yeah.
But then why did you make the switch then? Because what were you in before that?
So I was in a Skeeter prior to that.
Okay.
Great boat.
Skeeter Yamaha.
Yep. To me, it was a career choice. But with that being said, I think we've all, as anglers, grew up fishing in an aluminum boat.
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't, you were pretty fortunate to not have to fish out of an aluminum boat back in the day. That's what I grew up fishing in, a 16-foot Lowen with a 35-horse Johnson on it, or an Evinrude. I can't even remember what that was. That's what my dad tournament fished out of here on the Ohio River. But what it did for me was well, first off, let's back up a little bit. I went and took a test ride in a X21, which is what I run now.
Yeah.
And I had concerns. Was it going to be tippy? Was the wind going to blow it everywhere? Was the whole family going to be able to walk around in it without somebody falling out? How was it going to handle rough water? What was the hole shot going to be? I had all those questions. And I went and met with those guys and took a ride, and I spent about an hour in it, and I was shocked. I was amazed. Every concern that I had was gone. And I literally had the guy that I was with. I said, "Take me back to the dock. We got to pick up Jennifer and the kids. I got to get them in here. I got to let them run around like squirrels and see what they think." Right.
Yeah.
So I went and picked them up, and we played around, and I was like, "We can do this."
It's a barge.
Yeah. I'm like, this is nice. This is not your grandpa's John boat. This is not your traditional flat bottom boat. And those of you that don't know, the boat has a padded hull under it, which is, if you flip the Skeeter over and you flip an Express over, they're going to look exactly like any fiberglass boat out there. Okay. So with that pad hull design, it's not your traditional flat bottom John boat. So you get the performance of a glass boat. You don't get beat up like a flat bottom boat. You get the ride of a fiberglass boat. And I tell everybody, I said, look, I can put you in this boat and blindfold you and take you for a ride, and there's no way that you could tell you're in a glass boat or you're in an aluminum boat. You can't tell the difference. I've been on every Great Lake there is with that boat. I've been in big waters, waters you shouldn't be in. I've made the longest runs of my career in the Express boat. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I've never been in a situation in that boat where I've said, "Man, you've really got yourself in a pickle now." One of the quotes I made one time is that I'd drive that thing across the ocean. I'd just be afraid of getting ate by a shark. You know what I mean? But what it does for me is lets me fish free. Lets me fish in my comfort zone. I don't have to worry about, fiberglass repair. Typically every year I was doing $2,000 or $3,000 worth of fiberglass repair that I had to do to sell that boat at the end of the year, because I don't want to give somebody something that's tore up. So with that being said, it lets me fish freely, lets me fish my style. I always say I go as far as I used to go, but now I go even further because I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about tearing my boat up, and I'm pretty sure one day it's going to get me in trouble because I'm going to get stuck somewhere, low tide, sandbar or something. But yeah, it's just like I said, it lets me go and fish the way that I want to fish. And once again, when you fish the way that you fish in your comfort zone, you're going to fish the best of your abilities.
I fished one of the opens with Harvey Horn, and I was really amazed by that express boat he drives, and he drives it hard. He doesn't even pretend. He's like, he's like, listen, this is a tool. It's my major tool in my toolbox, and I'm going to wear it out. And man, that day we rode together, he flat out tried. I can tell you that. But very, very impressed with the ride on those boats and the stability and the fishability of them. They're great. I did want to ask you though, because I've seen a lot in the forums, not in regards to express boats, but in regards to these new aluminum boats. I'm seeing a lot of comments about stress fractures and stuff on some of the other brands. You ever had any problem or any issues on the express in that regard?
So let me tell you a quick story. I've not had a single weld break, a crack, or anything like that. I might not be as hard as Harvey Horn on my boat, but I'm not afraid. I mean, if there's 4-footers, we're going,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So at Lake Fork, was it last year? I believe it was last year at Lake Fork. During practice on the last day, which would have been a Wednesday, I'm running up the lake about 45 mile an hour. And, if you've ever been on Lake Fork, there's buoy lines everywhere. And I was kind of out in what they consider the clear zone. And I was just off to the side of one of the channel marker buoys. And like I said, I was running about 45 mile an hour. And all of a sudden, the boat basically goes straight up in the air. So I'd hit one of those standing trees that was out in the lake. And the lake was down pretty much. So the boat it didn't go straight up, but it almost like you were kind of ramping, right?
Wow.
When that stump or tree hit the back of that boat, it threw the back end of the boat up in the air, and I was basically airborne. So, and I was by myself, right? Because I didn't have anybody in there with me. And that boat went right side heavy, and I thought it was going to go over. And thank God that nose came down. And I sat there for a few minutes like, what the hell just happened? And I was waiting for bilge pumps to come on and things like that. And nothing ever happened. So I said, well, heck, let's see if this thing will get on pad. So I went and I put her on pad, and I could tell right when it started to plane over, the prop started to cavitate. So I knew I'd done a lot of damage to the hull. And I practiced the rest of the day because it wasn't leaking, and I put it on the trailer. And at this point, my boss at Express already knew what I'd done. So he was en route with another boat because we didn't know what the heck was going to be like when I got to the ramp. So Jennifer backed in, picked me up. I put it on the trailer, and I crawled up underneath of it. And it basically had a tunnel in it like this from the keel all the way to the drain plug, right? All the way down the boat.
Oh, my goodness.
There wasn't a single weld broke. There wasn't any cracks. There wasn't anything wrong with the hull except for it had a cave down it,
A tunnel.
And my boss shows up with the other boat, and he's like, here you go. I was like, I ain't fishing out of that. And he's like, well, why not? I said, this thing, so normally it's a 70 mile an hour boat.
Yeah.
So it'd run about 59 at this point. I said, heck, man, this is Lake Fork. I don't need to go fast. And now that I got the bottom all beat up, I go through the timber as fast as I want. So I actually fished the whole event out of that boat. So, that just showed to me how truly strong that hull is. I'd hate to see if it had been a glass boat, what would have happened.
Yeah.
In that event, there was a bunch of glass boats that got the backs of them blew out from hitting stumps and things like that. I just know if it would have been a glass boat, it would have been really, really ugly. Not that it wasn't ugly in that, but at least I got to, in the situation, I could have fished the tournament out of the deal, and I did.
Do you have the sea deck on yours, or you do carpet?
I got sea deck, and let me tell you, I'll be honest with you, I don't believe I'll ever own another boat with carpet in it.
I agree.
It's that good, huh?
Everybody has the concerns of, is it hot? And, my kids run around on mine, and I got one of the darkest colors you can get before you get to black. And I've never once heard them say their feet are hot. Keeping it clean is so easy. You take it to the car wash and spray it out. But the biggest benefit to sea deck, well, there's two. One is, you're walking on cushion all day.
All day.
So your legs don't
Feels
hurt,
good.
your back don't hurt. The other benefit is when it rains, once it quits raining, in about 30 minutes, that sea deck will be completely dry.
Really?
So you don't have to worry about sitting down, getting a wet butt. You don't have to worry about bringing your boat back to your garage and parking it and the floor staying wet for 2 weeks. The benefits are amazing. And like I said, I don't think I'll ever own another boat that has carpet in it.
Yeah, sea decks. Saltwater anglers love sea deck. We've loved it for
sure.
way before it got into bass boats. It was on my flats boat on the poling platform and the front platform at all times, because it's so much quieter too.
Yep.
You can kind of move around and not spook redfish and stuff like that. So it's awesome.
And you're starting to see more and more of the glass boats transition over to that sea deck for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about Pickwick. First win of your career. Did you? I'm gonna ask a few questions. Did you have a good practice? And then at what point in time did it click in? I'm gonna win this. And did it change the way you were fishing, or did you go in and just
that point of that clicking in that I'm going to win this? That never happened.
It didn't.
Oh, really?
So practice wasn't what I want to say good.
Yeah.
I had an area which was in one of the biggest community holes at Pickwick, right? And the lake was down. I don't remember what it was, about 6 foot below winter pool. So I seen things on Pickwick that I never even knew were there.
Yeah.
It was really kind of scary running around on the lake. So I found this area that it had a lot of high spots in it. It had some underwater grass, and I don't know if that was milfoil or hydrilla or whatever it was. But on the high spots, there was a lot of isolated stumps. And I could go up through there, and I could pitch a jig to the grass line, either a green pumpkin or a black and blue, and I could get some bites. But the deal that I thought I was going to do was I was pitching a jig to those isolated stumps, and when I get a bite, it'd be a big one. So I thought, between the grass and the isolated stumps, I should be able to do good. And then I had a little dock deal going that was kind of going to be the backup plan. But the whole benefit to that was it was all in about a 3-mile stretch. So I wasn't stretched out. I just could generally bounce around in there. Well, then the gates of hell opened up and water came from everywhere. And I was actually one of the anglers that said, hey, look, we may want to consider canceling this and rescheduling it, because it was bad. There was trees coming down and it was chocolate milk, and fortunately Bass made the call they made, and we sat out a couple days. And very first day of the tournament, I run to the area where the grass is and the isolated stumps. I just had to see, am I going to be able to do this? So I got out there, and I could not go forward on the trolling motor. I say that. You could creep, but you'd have to be on 100. There was that much current that you couldn't make any headway. So me being a river rat, growing up on the Ohio River, seeing those conditions a million times, I stopped for a second. And I said to myself, where in the heck did these fish go that were out here? And there was an island right there to the right of me. And I thought, they got to go right there. The whole island was big lay down trees that were completely dry in practice. And now they got, 5 or 6 foot of water on them. So the very first tree that I pulled up to and I pitched my jig in there, I got a bite and I missed that fish. So the second tree I come to, I catch a 4-pounder. The next tree I go to, I catch a 4-pounder. The next tree I go to, I catch a 4-pounder. The next thing I know, I got whatever I weighed in that day, 20 pounds or some change. So now I'm thinking, oh boy, you might have figured something out.
Yeah.
So the second day I run there, start on the island, I catch me 20 pounds real quick, and then I go start flipping reeds. And I catch 2 big ones to get me almost to 24. So now I'm thinking, all right, I got a reed deal going. I got an island deal going. I hadn't even been to my docks yet. So the third day I go to the island and I catch, 15 or 16 pounds. And then I run and start fishing docks because the water had started falling. So I couldn't get bit in the reeds. And I caught a 4-pounder off of the dock and some other ones that didn't help. But that put me at like right at almost 18 pounds, 17 and some change. The fourth day, they dropped the bottom out of it. I mean, most of the trees I were fishing were almost dry, and the wind had blew on my stuff all night long, so it had to water turned to basically red clay mud. And for everybody that watched, you all see me pull the plug about 30 minutes into it and say, let's go fishing. And I also had a bluff swing, like a bluffs, Pickwick's got some bluffs on it. And I had a deal going on some bluffs in practice. And I'd actually fished the bluffs on the second and third day, and I never had a bite on them. It was almost like God was saving those fish for me on the fourth day. So I scratched my deal. I went and flipped docks. I caught one keeper off of the docks, and I went to the bluffs. The water's falling. The bluffs are going to have all the water on them. Maybe some fish pulled to those. And fortunately, the first bluff I pulled up on, I caught one, and I caught another, and I caught number 3. You know what I mean? So now at this point, I'm getting calmed down. And I had a stretch of docks that I hadn't fished yet that were in between 2 of the bluffs I was fishing. So instead of running from one bluff to the next, I just fished my way up through there on the docks. And thank God I did, because the first dock I pulled up to, I catch one that gives me number 4. And then I catch that big in that 8.5 or whatever the heck it weighed. Looked like it was a 10-pounder when I caught it. But still at that point, the fish I had in the box, they were like 3-pounders, and I thought they were only like 2-pounders. So I really, truly didn't think I had a shot. Here we are. We're going to finish second again. We're going to let another one slip away. And then right at the end of the day, I caught what I felt like was a true 3-pounder, right? I got him in my hand. I'm thinking, all right, I got to call. So I get in that box, and I start to call, and I'm like, dude, these fish are a lot better than I thought. But still at that point, in your head, you think, I'm going to come up a little short, So I run back up to the dock, and there was 2 things that maybe clued me in on I had a shot to win. Was Jennifer and the kids came down on the dock, and I could tell that they'd been crying all day long. They're all.
I'm texting you.
They're crying. Fisher's crying. My daughter hops in the boat, hugs me. Fisher does, and it's a big damn cry fest, And Matt Herron and I are practice partners. A lot of you know that. And he said if I had a chance to win, he'd still be there. Because he was going to load his camper up and go home. And sure enough, there he is. So now I'm thinking, oh boy, I really got a shot. So typically when you put your fish in your bag and get them up there to the behind the tank, in the weighing tanks, your fish are in a mesh bag so you can lift them up and tell about how much weight you got, right? Well, that big fish that I caught, she was a big frame fish. She was really, really long. So I didn't want to put her in the same bag with them other 4. So I actually put them in separate bags and carried them up there. So I never got to feel the true weight of my mesh bag until right before I went up on stage. The bass staff came back there and combined all my fish into one bag, and you always roll your bag up and dunk it down in the water so everything's wet. When I lifted it up out of there, I thought, oh my gosh, I got 20 pounds. At that point, I knew I needed like 18 and some change to win. And I'm like, man, this truly, truly feels like 20 pounds. And I thought I was going to puke right there in the tank. So I go up there and weigh him in, and I had 20 pounds and some change. And it's a long time coming, and going to be one of those moments that you never forget.
Sorry to do this. And how cool is that Mr. Bash, you might not know Matt. Matt is the most honest person. They're all, I'm not saying you're not honest, Bill. You can ask Matt anything, any controversial question, he has got an answer for you. You might not like the answer, but
you're probably not gonna like the answer.
He's gonna tell you how it is. How cool is it that Matt stays and Brandon stays to congratulate you, and then the family is all up there, and then you get a text from all of us afterwards. I think I texted you while you were backstage. I was like, "You got this! I can't believe it!" How cool is that? How great is it after that? The family was awesome. It was an awesome experience, I imagine.
I knew it would be crazy after you won an event, but I truly didn't have any idea how crazy it would be. You know, when I got back to the camper that night, I had like 250 text messages on my phone. And hell, at that point, I didn't even think I knew 250 people. You know, so I stayed up and answered every single one of their messages. You know what I mean, or at least commented back on it.
Yeah.
And then the next morning I get up, there's like 100 more, right? And I answer all those. But so that would have been on Tuesday. From Wednesday to Wednesday, one complete week was from the time you got up till the time you went to bed, podcast, radio shows, interviews. And I was like, oh my goodness. You know, I'm not complaining. Look, I'll take it again. But I really truly had no idea how involved that a win would be. And what it did for me was open my eyes up to truly how many fans I have in the sport, or how many people are truly watching what I'm doing. And to me, that was a big, big eye opener. You know, because I mean, look, I've said this a million times. I don't feel like a professional angler. When I started this in my career, I never once said I want to be the best angler in the world. I've always said, you've heard me say it a million times, that I want to be the best ambassador for the sport that I can be. And then for me to know that there's that many people that, you know, are my fans and watching, it was really awesome.
Well, I think that's why so many people were so happy for you, because you are such an amazing ambassador of the sport. And I mean, it's just like the enthusiasm Steve just showed there. We were all so excited, so pumped up, so motivated for you. It was just amazing.
You know, I've had so many people come up to me that I don't even know. And, you know, hey, congratulate me and say, I owe you one, man. You made me cry. You know what I mean? So if I truly learned anything, is that I made the whole fishing community cry.
Yeah, I was crying in that tournament for sure. I'm sure Steve was as well. You know, another thing about that tournament is for the season, I think it was the best TV experience.
I agree.
It was just an amazing TV tournament. I mean, with all the crazy high water and Kennedy up there fighting the rapids and you winning this thing and doing all, I mean, it was just great TV. It was just a fantastic experience for a fan.
Yeah, I've heard that about from everybody that watched it. You know, and then I go back and watch it myself, because, you know, you want to go back and critique yourself on what you did right or what you did wrong.
Sure.
And it was like, wow, this is unbelievable just to sit back and watch how it kind of all unfolded. You know, and Bass does a great job at capturing all those moments. But yeah, it was amazing. You know, it's going to be one of them events you never forget, and especially catching that big one, you know, because typically for me, I'm not the guy that gets that big bite. You know, I'm the guy that 12-pound you to death. And that seems like, you know, in all the second place finishes I've ever had, or all the events that I've done really well in, I've always been void of that big bite. You know what I mean? I'm just that guy that doesn't get that big bite. And thank God that week I got the big bite.
Yeah.
No doubt.
How important is it to have the support of Jennifer and the kids at the events, when you have good days and bad days? They're with you. How does that motivate you or help you get you through the normal grind of tournament fishing?
My daughter's standing behind the TV right now.
Is she
behind the screen, sticking her tongue out at me?
Tell her I said hello.
Yeah. So, you know, what that does for me is I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I could do it if they weren't with me. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't want to get that phone call. Hey, Dad, when are you coming home?
Yeah.
You know, so like I said earlier, I'm very fortunate they get to travel all over the country with me. We travel in an RV. We camp everywhere we go. Kids are homeschooled. Jennifer homeschools them. And they don't know any different. I mean, from the time they were both born, they've been on the road. Mm-hmm. So to them, this is their lifestyle, you know. But like I said, I'm blessed that they get to travel with me. And, you know, for me, regardless of if I have a good day or bad day, they don't care. You know what I mean? All they're happy to see is that Dad's home, you know, or Dad's back at the dock. You know, and I guess I truly didn't know how much that win meant to them as well. Because it's something you don't think about, you know what I mean? But the night before I actually win the event, my son Fisher asked me, hey, Dad, have you ever done this good since I've been alive? You know what I mean? So just to know that they're as much involved in it as I am. Like I said, I'm just blessed for them to be able to travel with me. Jennifer, I can't, I mean, she does so much to just let me go and do what I do. I just, I'll never be able to thank her enough for the things that she does behind the scenes. That
you married up,
her,
man.
but not only her, but all the other bass wives. You know what I mean? So much goes into this that a lot of people, they just don't realize it.
Yeah, I know that. Fisher's a pretty stud angler. I'm already seeing. He loves it.
Oh, absolutely.
I love that.
I think he'd rather fish than anything. Doesn't matter. Like I said, they all love the deer hunt. They all love the duck hunt. I got my hands full.
Yeah, it's all right though, man. It's all right.
It's all good.
Yeah,
it is. It's great. Hey, before we let you go, Bill, one thing I wanted to ask you about, and Steve asked me if I knew Matt Herron. I don't know him that well, but I was marshal for him once over on Table Rock Lake, and I noticed that he does a lot of building his own lures. He's hand tying skirts and he's doing all kinds of stuff, and I know you do a lot of that as well with Lure Parts Online, and you got a lot of signature lures and stuff. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. If you would share with us, most of our audience here, we are all addicted to fishing tackle. We love fishing tackle. And, but I never realized until I started doing opens and doing martial stuff and kind of observing pros, it never occurred to me how much you guys tweak and build and tinker and create your own stuff and modify other existing lures. And it's just continuous. And that was another kind of mind blowing thing, light bulb moment for me. It's like, wow, they don't just buy stock stuff and fish with stock stuff. They actually make a lot of their own stuff. And you've got your signature swim jig and you got all kinds of, you're obviously a big jig fisherman, but for guys who have not done this kind of thing, what's that all about?
So once again, growing up on the Ohio River, it always seemed like you had to tinker with your baits, do something different. That's where my love of balsa crankbaits came into play. But you were just always trying to do something different than the other guy was doing. And it was always like, everybody always thought you had some secret bait, you know what I mean? But you were basically probably using the same exact baits that they're using. You just, maybe you're fishing in a little different way, or maybe you've modified it a little bit, with hooks, trailers, skirts, whatever that may be. So for me, a long time ago, I learned how to start tinkering with stuff and build my own stuff and pour my own jig heads and things like that. And I was very fortunate to get hooked up with Lure Parts Online, because they wanted to kind of take their bass side to the next level.
So what are they for those who don't know?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
So what is Lure Parts Online for those who don't know?
So Lure Parts Online is a components company. Okay, you call up Lure Parts Online, regardless of what you want to build: spinnerbaits, buzzbaits, jigs, musky lures, crappie stuff, fly fishing rods. They're a components company. So if you're into that, you can call them up and get whatever you want to build, basically whatever you want. Our slogan's always build better baits. But for me, it's like, you can build what you want. A lot of times you walk into the store and you can't get what you want, but
right.
Lure Parts, you can build exactly what you want. You mentioned my signature series of stuff. I got a signature series flipping jig, which is what the jig I used at Pickwick when I won in a 3/8 of an ounce. I got a signature series. We call it a finesse jig, but to me, it's more like a finesse flipping jig. We got a swim jig, 1/4 and 3/8. We got a head that I call a slip shad head. It's designed for swimming, fishing swim baits with a treble hook. And the beauty of that is let's say you call up and order a pack of my 1/2 ounce flipping heads. Okay, there'll be 3 that come in a pack. And then I have a whole signature series line of skirts that are my favorite colors that I use, everywhere I go in the country. You get your skirts, you get 3 in a pack of that. So you get 3 heads, 3 skirts. And when it's all said and done and you build your 3 skirts, you get about, realistically, you get about 3 jigs for the price of 1 nowadays, because you can't go buy a good quality jig for, under $4 or $5.
Yeah.
I mean, things are just expensive, but I put all the details into my signature series stuff that I feel like were things that guys are trying to tweak, you know what I mean, by wire keepers and I didn't want to build anything for lure parts where when you got it out of the pack, you had to do something to it or modify it. You know, I wanted it the way that I would fish it. So when you get it out of the pack, it's ready to go. And that comes from hooks, weed guards, keepers. Same with my skirts. I didn't want you to have to do anything to them except put them together and go fish. And for fishermen, that's huge, you know, but to have the ability to build exactly what you want for any condition and get it at the right price that you want, to me, that's huge.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I've really enjoyed your stuff. I've got a lot of your swim jigs, and I've got a couple of your Castaway swim jig rods as well.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, I'm still using those. One thing I wanted to ask you, this is a selfish question. I'm going to be up at the Mississippi River, Wisconsin next week.
I've never been there before.
What colors and what are you going to use?
What swim jig? What swim jig would you be throwing this time of year? What kind of jig?
You know, I think, and it's funny, I always say this, the Mississippi River and fish up there see so many swim jigs that they think it's a natural food source.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think the bass up there say, all right, the swim jigs are spawning. Let's go get them.
Yeah.
You know, for me up there, that water is, and I don't know how much time you spent up there, that water is really tannicky to me and black almost.
Yeah.
It's that clear black, almost kind of like being in Florida. So your darker colors are going to be really good. You know, your
black and blue.
One of my favorite colors up there is Junebug. Junebug skirt with some blue flash in it, which is one of my signature series colors at Lure Parts Online.
Heck yeah.
So I use a Junebug skirt, a Junebug trailer, whether that be a Strike King Menace or a Rage Crawl. Just a regular single-tailed Junebug grub would be really good. But for whatever reason, they like Junebug up there. And it seems like for me, every time I go up there in the fall, black, blue, and purple works really good. Whether you're swimming a jig or flipping a jig, frog bite ought to be really good up there right now. You know, that's just a good place to go catch them. You know, having smallmouth and largemouth. And you know what I love about that place so much is you might pull up on a spot and catch a 3-pound smallmouth, and the next cast catch a 3-pound largemouth.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just a unique place, and it's one of my absolute favorite places to fish.
Awesome. One last question for you real quick, and that is, what kind of an action rod do you like for swim jig fishing?
So, you know, you got one of my old swim jig rods. We're actually been working with Lou's on one right now.
Sweet.
I don't know where that's going to go. All I know is I got one that's truly amazing. You know, and I probably like a little longer swim jig rod than most guys like. You know, I know a lot of guys like a 7-footer or a 7-1 or a 7-2. I like a 7-6 flipping rod. A swim jig rod. Okay. A lot of your swim jigs are, you know, you're out there stretched out pretty good. I want a long rod so I can move a lot of that line. I typically swim on 30-pound braid, smackdown braid from Seagar. You know, it's typically what I'm swimming on. And I know a lot of guys say, well, why do you want 30 or 40-pound braid instead of 65? You know, and I've always been that guy, whether you're fishing braid or flipping with fluorocarbon, whatever that may be. I've always been the guy that says I try to use the lightest line that I can get away with. Okay, so what that does is you get the most action out of your bait that you're using. You know what I mean? I feel like the more action you can get, the more bites you're going to get. But with that being said, don't go so light that you're going to hurt yourself. Okay, so for me, typically when I'm swim jig fishing, 30 to 40-pound braid. Like I said, Seagar Smackdown. The other key is a high-speed reel. You know, I like a Team Lose Light, 7.1, 7.5, something along that higher speed. I'm not a big fan of 8.5s or anything like that. But the rod to me is the most important thing. And what I always say the rod action for me is it's almost like a heavy action spinnerbait rod. Okay, I always call my swim jig rod an 80-20 rod, where it's 80% backbone and 20% tip. Okay, I want a softer tip on that rod. You know, when you're swim jig fishing and you're shaking that rod all day long, at the end of the day, you're wore out. I mean, back in the day when I used to swim on a true flipping rod, I'd be wore out. So by having that softer tip, you can actually just shake your wrist and get that rod tip going and let
Yep.
that rod tip do the work for you.
Mm-hmm.
The other benefit of having that soft tip is when them fish come up there and get it, especially on braid, it lets them fish get it because the tip of the rod will just give the bait to the fish. You have less tendency to pull the bait away from the fish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then by having that 80% backbone, when you go to load that rod up, it's all backbone and you get a really good hook set. So that's kind of the way I've designed my swim jig rod, or the way that I like my swim jig rod to be. And once again, it'd be almost comparable to a heavy action spinnerbait rod.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wanted to bring that up because I knew that about your rods, and I think some guys who aren't as experienced, that would kind of surprise them a little bit.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of guys don't like a rod that's that long, but that's kind of what I grew up. I grew up swimming on a true flipping rod, and I just, grew accustomed to having that little bit longer of a rod. A lot of guys that have always said, man, that rod's too long for me. Once they use that rod with that action, they're like, oh, man, I really like this.
Yeah. What do you think about the old chatterbait versus swim jig deal?
I know that's like a big talk all the time, and guys ask, how do you decide swim jig versus chatterbait? And for me, it's typically got to do with watercolor and pressure. If I feel like there's a lot of stain in the water, I'll go with the bladed jig, just for the vibration and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if there's a lot of pressure in an area, the swim jig's going to do so much better than a bladed jig, just because it's more subtle. It doesn't have any flash, doesn't have much vibration. And I just like the fact that, that subtleness in pressured water, I feel like it's going to get you a lot more bites. But with that being said, fish don't read the same books we read. They don't listen to nothing we say. There'll be days when you'll catch them on a chatterbait in gin clear water.
Yeah.
So,
what about the new stealthy bladed jigs that are coming out? With the clear blades and stuff like that. Have you fished with any of those yet, or got an opinion on any of those?
I've tried that with that plastic blade on it, and it's really stealthy. It almost doesn't feel like it's doing anything at all. Which goes back to that's almost kind of like a swim jig. Yeah, it's going to have a little bit more vibration than a swim jig, but once again, that's just another tool to have in your toolbox.
Heck yeah.
I think there's a time and a place for that, for sure, without a doubt. But once again, I haven't played with that a lot yet.
Yeah, it depends on the pressured ponds. Really has a big influence on chatterbait fishing. If you've got a really pressured place, chatterbaits can catch fish at all times, but it seems like the bass kind of shy away from them a lot of times. I think because they've just seen it too much.
I think that's a lot with a lot of baits.
They hear it.
I think that's why baits that we used to catch them on 20 years ago, all of a sudden starts catching them again, just because they haven't seen it in so long.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, we appreciate the time. I know that you're coming down to Harris Chain, and I'm just saying right now, bring the family over for dinner one night, because I'm 10 minutes from that place.
Right.
I'm just saying it right now. I'll feed the whole family.
Can you hear her back there yelling?
Yeah, I can. I did.
She said, "Great, I'm coming. I don't have to cook that night."
Jennifer, come over, meet Sonia. It would be great.
Awesome.
But before we say goodbye, we need to make sure everyone, you need to go check out Bill on his website and Facebook and Instagram, all that stuff. But we need to make sure we give a little bit of credit to his amazing sponsors, because it would not be fair to not do that. And those sponsors include Humminbird, Minn Kota, Brad Dreyer, Yamaha. Well, Brad Dreyer, Yamaha. Next time we talk, we should tell some secrets to each other about Brad Dreyer. Just throwing that out there. And I know he's watching.
Since he set you up tonight?
Yeah, really, what the hell is he doing? Have you ever been over? Well, I'll ask that later. Lose, TH Marine, Strike King, Optima Batteries. Is it Ima Lures?
It is, yep.
Weeda's Marine, Gross Savant. How great is that place to go fish?
It's all right.
Shut your mouth.
Hey, it's like Disney World for fishing.
It is. Rains Fishing, Optimum Baits. Don't even know this. Hayab USA.
Hayabusa.
Is that what it is?
Hayabusa.
Hooks.
I butchered that one.
You gotta have good hooks to catch
hooks.
fish.
That's true.
Those are Japanese hooks, man.
Line Parts Online, Express Boats, PH Custom Lures, Mossy Oak Fishing, Drake, Talon, Mammoth Coolers, Sea Deck, and one of the best lines out there, Seagar. Go check out them. Tell them you saw Bill on the stream. We really do appreciate the time. You know that.
Hey, I appreciate y'all having me.
Thank you, Bill.
We got to do this. We got to do this a little bit more often. We talk, and then it seems like we talk and just see each other and then talk about everything and never do it online.
Hey, look, all you gotta do is call.
I know.
I don't ever say no.
You never do. Oh no, you did say no that one time you were in Michigan fishing.
Well, that's a little different. You know?
I'm like, I wanted to know what was going on though.
You didn't give me an opportunity to say unless there's a conflict.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Well, I think we ended up talking for like 2 hours, or we talked through Brad as you guys were fishing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, well, we really do appreciate the time with you, man, and thank you very much. We're going to say goodbye to you. Mr. Bass can say goodbye, and we're going to talk about some other stuff that...
Well, I appreciate it. And like I said, I've seen a bunch of messages on here that I know we didn't answer, so anybody's got any questions, just send them to me on Facebook, and I'll answer them to the best of my abilities.
Awesome.
Right on. Thanks, Bill. You're a real inspiration.
Right, guys, y'all have a good night.
Later, dude.
You're a real inspiration to us all. We appreciate it. Have a great night.
I have to say, I'm just going to say this. I think that was better than Jacob Wheeler.
I do too. That was a great show. It was a great show. It really was. He was just awesome.
One of the nicest people. Oh my God, look how big we are. Oh, there you go. One of the nicest people of all time on the tour. I mean, really, exceptionally nice.
He is a great guy. And, I love talking technique with him. I wish I had done more of that because the guy is such a skilled angler. And you guys, those little nuggets he gave you about fishing the swim jig, man, he's a master at swim jig fishing. You need to go back and watch that over again. You can learn a ton from him. The win at Pickwick was just amazing. But I think sometimes we overlook just how difficult, challenging, and amazing it is for a guy to qualify for the elite 16 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Year after year after year, he does it. And it's a pretty awesome thing for sure. Pretty amazing.
I know we have like 3 or 4 weeks planned, but I have to be honest. When he started talking about Matt Herron, we need to have Matt Herron on here.
Yeah, we ought to.
So I'll just tell a story. I ran into Matt 3 years ago when the Major League Fishing ordeal was going on. And Matt blew my head off for like 3 hours of all the ups and downs of Major League Fishing. And literally, I had my camera there, and I was like filming and filming and filming. My battery died. I put a new battery in. I'm like filming. And then I'm like, I'll never be able to use any of this. It'll get him in so much trouble. But he has an opinion about everything. I'm not joking. Everything.
Yeah.
So I'm going to reach out to him tomorrow.
So, George, yes, you can buy his jigs. Go to lurepartsonline.com, and all his jigs are there. His skirts are there. And that's another thing, guys. If you're trying to find ways to get more for your fishing dollar when it comes to buying fishing lures, Tackle Warehouse is not always the best place to go. I mean, let's face it, we all love Tackle Warehouse, but places like Lure Parts Online, if you're willing to put some stuff together and put your own skirts on jigs and stuff like that, man, pretty awesome stuff. Yeah, just that was better than I thought, and I love Bill. It was excellent. It was a great show. Great. I mean, he was just a great guest, and you can tell he really loves fishing, and he's a really good dude. So why don't we just say it right now? We have next week's completely lined up. Do you want to tell everybody who's on next week? Why don't you tell?
I don't mind. I called and talked to him, and then called you, so you can say it.
Okay. Well, there's this guy. He
Just
fishes.
a little guy.
Yeah, a little guy. He fishes here and there. Does a little fishing. Every once in a while, he wins a classic or two.
Yeah, in a row.
Yeah, in a row. And so Hank Cherry, the jerkbait man himself, has agreed to hop on the show next week. So we are pretty excited. Steve has nailed him down, and he's definitely agreed to come on. And we are super excited to have Hank Cherry, the winner of the Bass Masters Classic in 2021 and 2020.
Yeah, it should be good. I haven't talked to. I saw Hank. I have stories about pretty much everybody, but a couple of years ago, he was getting out at St. John's, and he didn't have a marshal, he didn't have anybody helping him, and he was trying to put his fish in the bag, and they kept like bouncing all over, and I was filming it, and then I looked at him, I said, "Hey, do you want my help?" And he's like, "Oh, you've been sitting there, Steve, for this amount of time? Of course I want your help. Why haven't you gotten on the boat?" I'm like, "Okay." So I hopped on the boat. He put the fish in, and then I'm like, "Hey, can we do an interview?" He's like, "Of course, I'll see you in a few minutes." He got off the boat, weighed his fish. I went and saw Brandon Card and was talking to him. Hank walks by me, gets in his boat and left. And I'm like, so then I'm texting him like, "What the hell, dude? Where did you go?" He's like, "Oh, just meet me at the hotel." I'm like, "Oh, no, I'll see you tomorrow. Don't worry about it." So I got to give him a little bit of hell about that when we see him next week.
Heck yeah.
Another great dude too, by the way. Another great dude.
Yeah, and he is a great fisherman as well. I mean, you don't win one classic, let alone two in a row, without being a heck of a stick.
All he does is win classics.
That's right. That's all.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, if you're gonna win one, you might as well win the biggest.
Yeah, you may as well. Why not?
What the hell?
So yeah, that should be very, very entertaining. In fact, if any of you guys have questions that you'd like for us to ask him, you could shoot me an email or shoot Steve an email. Here, I got our email addresses. I can put them on the screen here. Here's Steve's.
What's mine? Oh, yeah, that is mine.
ffrsteve@gmail.com. Or, in fact, why don't you just send them all to Steve? And instead of having two email addresses, and then we'll Steve's behind the scenes. He controls everything anyway, so it'll all be perfect.
We actually have like 3 weeks already booked.
Yeah, we got some good shows lined up, don't we?
Yeah, the next 3 weeks are filled.
Yeah.
And yes, spam Steve. Thanks a lot, Sean. Spam Steve. That's exact. I already get those things as is.
Man, Sean, you know me. You figured me out.
It'll be Hank is going to be great, and then the two after are going to be exceptional. Exceptional. I've hammered. I know. I've hammered down all three. So, but now I kind of want Matt Heron to be on one of them before then.
Yeah, we ought to get Matt in. Yeah, Booster. That's what I'm fishing. Kayak tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me what's going on, man. I saw you had a new unboxing, the Dark Horse.
Yeah, I did the Dark Horse tackle.
Yes.
And let's see, I recorded one today for the Champions Club.
How is that one? I don't spoil it.
It's very good this month.
Is it good?
Yeah, very good. And in fact, I noticed in Bass Baits Monthly and Champions Club, they both did an excellent job of putting in lures for the fall fishing. They did a very good job there. So top waters, poppers, crankbaits, that kind of stuff. So really, really good stuff there. Let's see. My 6 cent Super 6 sacks are on the way. They're not here yet. I got a couple others coming. The Monster Bass is not here yet. The fish tools I've recorded. I don't know if I've posted it yet or not.
I haven't seen that one.
And then I got a new one coming, Hendrix Fishing or something.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it hasn't gotten here yet, but it's supposed to be here any day. And then I got a very big unboxing of Tackle Warehouse and hookup tackle stuff. I'm creating a video on that tomorrow, probably.
Nice. That's good. I posted the monster bass bag today. Normally I wouldn't post something on a day that we do a stream because I just think that takes away from both of them. But I kind of felt like I had to do it.
It looks like Texas Huntsman agrees with you.
Yeah. I would love to say that, I just gave my opinion, but honestly, I've never had more people and more lure companies text me or call me than what I posted today afterwards.
Yeah, you guys got to go watch that video. It's controversial. Steve's shaking. He's shaking it up.
Well, you of all things know a little bit more than everybody else because I had to. Truth be told, I had to bounce some stuff off of you.
Yeah. I had to rein it back. I had to say, "Oh, big fella, hold on a second here."
The text you sending me back goes, you might want to reconsider that tone of voice there. And I'm like, really? Yeah. And then I let it sit. I let it ferment for 24 hours, and we rewatched it. And I went, "Oh God, I got to take that out. That was mean."
Yeah.
But the amount of people that I probably received 28 to 30 texts almost directly after posting that video, and then I got 5 phone calls from lure companies, 5 that said, "Thank you for saying this, and we don't sell to monster bass and this and that." And I was like, "Oh man, I need to make sure I'm, but it was just my honest opinion, and that's just it."
Yep.
Everyone's asking for a part 2 to it though. Or put the unedited version of it. I can't do that.
Well, you have said publicly often that you don't really you wish the best for Monster Bass and Rick and those guys, and it's kind of hard when you do YouTube and you're trying to share your honest opinion about things when you kind of start to collide with an organization or a company that makes it a little challenging.
And there's companies that I work with that you'll never see me. If they make something bad, I just don't say it. I just don't do a lure review because I don't want to say, because I have Shimano, I have Tackle Webs, I have a bunch of people, and but they don't normally make a bad product in general. So and I'm not saying Monster Bass makes a bad product. I just think there's so much roller coaster with what they do. And then finding out and knowing what I know, really, you want to know what the problem is? I know too much about the back end of how it all works.
Right.
And if you say something, then I want you to live up to that. When you say we're only going to put the best baits in our box or bag or whatever you want to say, and then you put 3 products that really are not that they're crap, but they're junk. And I question if you don't have a part of the ownership of those places, and then I do know that you're going through a liquidator to get everything else, then that really starts to make me question everything. Like, we don't put any overstock, but we're buying everything from a liquidator. Isn't that overstock? It just...
Yeah.
And
it is kind of interesting though, because you and I have kind of gone back and forth behind the scenes about there are liquidated or older lures or lures that maybe you don't buy off the shelf every day that are still awesome. And we talked about, wouldn't it be cool to have an overstock box of the very best stuff that was out there,
Yeah.
Like this one lure that I was talking about, the Weston lure that you said, hey, that's an overstock or that's a liquidator or whatever, that came in the mystery tackle box this month. I took that thing out fishing this week, and it's freaking amazing. That Weston spot on topwater. I'm like, I got to get some more of those, and I've been online trying to find them. You can actually buy them on the Scandinavian website, but it's pretty expensive, and plus the shipping's pretty tough.
I have Barry looking for some for you.
Oh, sweet, good. But if I got an overstock box or a liquidation box and it had some of that in there, boy, I'd be all over that.
Yeah, well, like your Weston and your Live Target and those places, Weston just stopped doing it in the United States. It just didn't have a lot of success, so they've stopped here. They don't have a rep here. So any of the baits that you get from Weston are from somebody who has liquidated them or they're overstock. Same with Live Target. Live Target just didn't have the success that they wanted to, and the prices of their baits were expensive. So anything that you see in there that's Live Target isn't really sold anywhere else anymore, unless it's, sometimes you wonder what happens is a lure comes out and they don't do as well. So what they do a lot of times is they buy back the lure to repurpose it, or they buy it back to change the marketing of the lure. So it might have a different box or something else. So a lot of times those things can be bought back at a really cheap rate. And that's when you see your Live Targets and those things. But Weston's been out of the Weston had a saltwater box. It was the most saltwater and freshwater box. It was by Brent Chapman and Jay Withers. And it was in this beautiful box, and it was all made up right. And they had them for Christmas, and they were like $60 or $70. They just didn't sell any of them because it just wasn't what people wanted. It was too nice, to be honest.
Wow.
So
hey Matthew, yes, I've got my Doom Rider. It came in a couple days ago.
What is a Doom Rider?
It's a well, I'll go grab it and show it to you.
Okay.
Hold on a second. You can keep it going.
Yeah, I like Texas Huntsman. Alex Rudd Baits value $15. That's that to be honest, that drives me crazy. That's the one that really tore me up. I mean, $15 bait. I have no idea how that works. Or if it's worth $15 remotely, because when you say it's $15, but then 2 weeks later you have it on your website for $13 or $12, that's really when you just want to punch somebody in the face, because you're like, why? Where is this going? Why would it be $15 in your stupid book, but then you're selling it for $12 on your website? I mean, just.
Really? You want to punch somebody in the face? I
want to punch somebody in the face. I'm like, come on, dude. Somebody come over and let me. I might not hurt. I might punch like a girl, but I want to hit somebody after that.
This is 86 baits, and this is the Doom Rider swim bait.
Oh, that looks beautiful.
It is beautiful. These are, just like a lot of these, they're pricey and they're hard to come by. In fact, Matthew, I have a ton of swim baits I've bought that I'm kind of stacking together to do an unboxing video. I'm going to put them all together at once.
How much was that lure?
I don't remember. Do you remember, Matthew? How much is it? Matthew will put it up on the screen there. The Doom Rider. Matthew will put it up there.
So
beautiful paint job. This thing looks so realistic. It just looks.
Wait a minute. Was that lure $150?
Well, no. Look what Matthew put up there. That's what it was.
What the shit is that? Shut your mouth! Shut your mouth! Dude, if you lose that, I will freak out.
Yeah, that's what it cost.
Booster said, did I see the SpaceX? Booster, Booster's been over the house. It was the coolest thing today. So when it went up, it went in, he knows where I am. I'm in the backyard. It went over the trees, and then it had this unbelievable tail of glow that followed it. I made a little video of it, and it was just awesome to see that SpaceX launch tonight. Not to mention, I have the whole house to myself. It is beautiful.
That's amazing. Now,
Wow.
hey, to my credit, kind of in defense here, Matthew added shipping to that price, so it wasn't that expensive.
Okay.
You gotta take the shipping
Does
off.
anybody have a shovel in the comment department?
This
Is there any shovels out there?
This color is called Threadfin.
I will say it does look awesome.
It does, doesn't it?
I've lost some baits that are over $1,500. I lost a $1,500 bait. That's the
$1,500.
Yeah, it was there was only 7 of them made.
Wow.
And yeah.
Look, Booster says he gave you $125 swim bait.
I know.
That's pretty sweet itself. That's beautiful.
This is the original. What is this one called, Booster? It's got the, he doesn't like the bass, the coloring, but it has the bristles in the back.
Man, I think that color is beautiful. He doesn't like that color?
He doesn't fish bass colors.
Oh, I see.
I mean, the guy fishes 10 times better than me, so. This is the original one before high power herring. There it is.
High power herring. Very nice.
I gave him a fishing rod. He gave me a lure.
Gotcha. Well, there's that $1,500 lure there at Tackle Warehouse you can buy.
Oh, yeah, that's like.
Yeah, it's like this long.
Yeah, it's made of leather and all that other stuff.
Okay, she's asking, did I show everyone the super fancy ones that she bought me? Yeah, let me show you these. These are old lures that never kind of made it. You maybe know about these. My wife bought these for me. The Berkeley Frenzy.
That's a good looking bait too.
It does look pretty good. I mean, but for some reason, diver? Yeah, this is a deep diver, like 15 feet. It looks like it would dive a lot deeper, but it says it only goes to 15. And then she got this top water lure. It's a plug, the Frenzy. So I had not heard of Berkeley Frenzy lures, so I had to go look them up. And it was a line of lures that came out like in the mid 2000s, early 2000s to mid 2000s. And it says that Berkeley spent a ton of money on R&D and, these are high quality baits, but they just never took off.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you were saying about, sometimes a company puts a lure out there and for whatever reason it doesn't sell. Maybe they buy it back. I mean, eventually Berkeley just discontinued all these.
But how much were they? She's
saying $185 for these.
She said it wasn't $185. I can tell you that.
She bought them at some antique store or something. So some old, she's down in Branson last week.
You want to know who another person? If we should do a whole 1 week of just lure stuff, get Bernie Schultz on and let him talk about all the old lures.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Actually, we should do 4 people that week. Bernie Schultz and Cousin Ken, because those two fight every time they're online together.
Oh, that would be
great
awesome.
to watch.
All right, she's saying she paid $11 each.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. So I don't know what I'm going to do with these yet. I thought I might put them in the buckets. I kind of want to fish with this top water.
Yeah, that top water looks good.
This deep diver, I don't fish deep around here like that. I do when I go down to like Kentucky Lake and stuff like that, but I don't do that very often.
That's cool. So how did it go with Debo? I got to listen to it afterwards. I couldn't participate, but how was the Debo on Saturday?
Oh, it was fun. I enjoyed it. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm going to be on Debo's show this Saturday night. Can't remember what time his show is. I think it's 7:30 Central. So if any of you guys watch Debo, you're going to be stuck with me again. Sorry about that. But he and I had fun, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with him.
That'll be good then. That'll be real good because he's got a ton of subscribers.
Yeah, he's got a huge following.
Subscribe to him.
That's right. He's got a huge following.
Yeah, yeah. So you have lots of unboxings you're recording this week.
Yeah, a lot of those, and I've got a few fishing videos I'm going to be posting where I've gone out and caught some fish on a couple of specific lures. I'm doing some of that. In fact, I'm trying something new this week. This week on some of my unboxings, I'm asking people to put in the comments which lure in the box they would like to see me go try to catch a fish with. And I'm going to go try to do some of that. Just mix it up a little bit and see how that works.
I saw some unboxings from our friend No Redemptions Outdoor, Tony. Have you seen? He's doing an unboxing in 1 minute.
Wow.
Which
I've done some of those on some shorts.
Oh yeah.
Unboxing. Yeah. But for me, there's not much interest in them. So maybe I need to watch the way he does it, and maybe I can figure out how to make it interesting.
Yeah. He doesn't allow him to go into talking. In the case of me, that would be perfect, because then I wouldn't have said anything bad about monster bass this month.
Yeah.
And I should say, I got demonetized on the video for tonight, by the way, today.
Oh, why? I can guess why.
Well, no, I put a thing in there that I talk about the monster bass thing. I only have 2 months left. This was 1 month. Well, I put that song "Time to Say Goodbye," that song in the middle of it.
Oh, so that's why they demonetized you.
And I knew that it was going to be more than 10 seconds, and I was like, you want to know what? This is one time I'm not going to worry about it. It's pennies as is.
Yeah.
I bleeped out the cursing, so they can't get me for cursing. I bleeped that out. I even bleeped out. I put the round circle and muddle and pixelated my mouth so you couldn't, even though you hear bull at the beginning of it. So it was, but yeah, I knew it was getting demonetized before it was even posted. Do I take that clip out? And I thought it was kind of funny to have the most beautiful song in the world in the middle of one of my videos. So I was like, this is actually, there's a lot of funny things. I had a whole bunch of, to be honest, I should put the unedited version up, because there was a whole bunch of I put the Talladega Nights, "Please Baby Jesus" Lowe's when he does that. And then I did the other one was, remember when Steve Carell gets waxed? And he's like, no.
Yeah.
And so I had a bunch of those clips inside of my video. And then I was like, okay, it's might be a little bit too long. And then I was like, okay, I just need to tone it down a little bit.
Thanks, Texas Huntsman. Come on, y'all, hit the like button.
Yeah, for sure. Like, subscribe, do all of that.
Share the love. Hit that like button, man. Get the word out. We appreciate that.
So we got Hank Cherry again next week, which will be fun. You'll be on. So before that, you're going to be on Debo's on Saturday. Then you have your Sunday night stream.
Yeah. Yep.
Then next Wednesday, we'll have Hank Cherry on. So there's lots of live streams to watch and videos and stuff. And honestly, if you want to listen to this, from here on out, I am going to put this on the old Fishing Florida Radio Apple podcast starting this week.
Heck yeah.
So if you want to listen to it on there, I'm going to change the name of the thing, so it'll be the Mr. Bass Get Your Fish On live show. I don't know how long it takes for that to take over, but I'm going to do that starting here. So if you guys want to listen to this just as a regular podcast without video, it'll be on the Apple iTunes stuff too, as a free download.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Let's see. What time are we? 9:39.
Yeah.
10:39 for you.
Yep. Yeah. So it'll be a lot of fun. So I haven't told you this. I went fishing the other day and decided I was going to just sneak out. It was starting to rain, so I'm like, I had edited all these kids videos, and I was just like Kitty. I needed to get out of my head of all the kid music I was listening to. So I was like, I'm going fishing at the frog pond. I go over to the frog pond. Every 4 steps, these giant frogs were jumping over my feet.
Really?
And I'm like, oh, I am going to absolutely smash these fish. So I hit the GoPro, beep, 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 start filming it. I film the frogs jumping over my feet. I sit out there for 45 minutes. I catch 22 fish in 45 minutes.
Wow. That's fun.
The stupid GoPro didn't get one of them.
Oh man. Oh, beautiful.
I hit the button, heard it start, and it had an error on the SD card, and it shut itself down, and never.
That sucks.
It was horrible, but it was so beautiful because it was starting to rain, and the pond was just perfect for fishing. It was just everything I wanted, and it was so nice to get out there and just start throwing I was throwing a new. I think I got one of these. They sent a bunch of these to me. Scum Frog, the new trophy series.
Oh, I love those frogs.
So
I love Scum Frogs.
So these ones are the new ones that are like, this is the most collapsible frog I've ever seen in my life, and it's the popping one.
Yeah.
So the
Like
problem,
this?
yeah. So
that's part of my unboxing video I'm going to be doing.
You'll love these frogs. I would say the only minor thing behind the frog is they don't really walk really well. That's the one thing. I prefer a frog that walks and will do a little bit of that popping. These ones just kind of, because the tail is so heavy, they kind of just go bloop, bloop, and make great noises. But if you can just, they're kind of one of those slow frogs. You just give them a twitch, let them go bloop, bloop, and then just wait till all the ripples of the water go away, and then hit it again. And the bass were like sitting, positioning themselves and waiting for it to go under, and then as the butt end was up, they go blam and
really
crush them.
Oh man!
And I was like,
that is so much fun.
Awesome.
That's exciting stuff.
But of course, I didn't get one on film, so
jeez, it probably never happened. You're just making it all up.
Yeah, I mean, they sent me those frogs like right after iCast, and
hey, another cool thing I got coming up.
What's that?
I am getting in the mail another box from Get Your Fish On.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
There's a hat, one of these hats for you.
Nice. Tackle Webs hat. So
there was another hat. I was looking for the box. I'm like, the box is gone.
Yeah. So when I get it, I'm going to do an unboxing video, and I can't wait to see what you sent me.
There's the lanyard for the media pass for.
Oh, perfect.
So
I'm in the media now. Heck yeah.
You'll have to when you go. I'll forward you Christine's email stuff, and then you can just. There's a waiver you have to sign, but she'll be happy that you're there.
Sweet.
And it's a good time to meet some of those guys that we'll probably have on here soon.
Absolutely.
One in particular.
Right on. Yeah, so we got some good content coming. And what are you doing on your channel now? We talked about mine. What do you got coming up next week? I know you're kind of batching it right now.
Yeah. I to be honest, I have finished more closer look videos in the last 2 weeks or the last 2.5 weeks.
Really?
You can't imagine. My box of like goodies to do isn't as big as normal. I had 2 of these full of stuff that I was doing videos on.
Wow.
And I got most of the stuff done. Like I sent some of these to you.
Woohoo! That's right on. Good job.
And
you know what you ought to do, which I bet the guys would love to see, is you ought to do a behind the scenes video of how you do the closer look videos.
I thought about doing that. I don't think people realize the amount of work that goes into one of those.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, so I keep a yellow notepad next to me, and I jot down all sorts of stuff, and some that is important and some that isn't. So like so when I start doing a closer look, I start jotting down what I think the lure is. Like this is the script that I read during the mini. This is the mini. Oh, there's a couple mini maxes in yours too.
Oh, sweet.
And some of it's on stuff that they like. I'll email Z-Man and go, well, I'm doing this. Can you tell me? I know they're not available yet, but how many colors are there? Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I put the bait in the water, so as soon as the bait comes in, I take pictures of it. I put it in the little box over here. Hold on, I can actually show you. Hold on, watch. See that right there?
Yeah,
That's my photo booth, and there's the 360 thing. Like you can see. Wait, see my camera going around?
Oh, nice.
So I do that as soon as I get the lures, and then go to the spring, and then film it, and then bring it home, and then do what I see on the script, then record the script, and then all of it comes together inside the closer look. And sometimes I've told you this, my first closer looks used to take me 4, 5, 6 hours to do.
Yeah.
They don't take that long anymore. Because I know how to edit faster. But there were those ones some of those at the beginning, they're hard for me to watch, to be honest. Because I used to do all the recording on a phone and be, this is blah blah blah, and then put it in there. It was.
Yeah, well, I think people don't realize how much work is involved. There's a ton. Just like Frankie's saying here, he's gonna film his tournament this weekend, but then he's like, well, how do I put it on YouTube? It's painful, buddy. If you don't do this naturally, if this isn't something you normally do, it's painful. I can tell you that. And the one piece of advice I'll give you though is don't worry about it being perfect.
Yes.
Just put it out there.
Yeah.
Even if you think it's crappy, and a year from now you look back and will say, well, that was horrible. It's more about just getting the consistent content out there. That's what really matters.
I want to know what Steve has to give his neighbor to use the pool all the time. Truth be told, I feed the neighbor.
Oh, perfect. Whatever it takes. And then, that's smart business. And then you don't have the expense of a pool yourself.
Oh, we're in the process of doing that. So this will probably not, I won't have to use it, but really, I go to the spring to use the spring here recently. The Wekiva State Park is around the corner from me.
Uh-huh.
And the problem with the Wekiva State Park is there's always somebody on a damn kayak after like 8:30.
Those
freaking
kayakers.
8 to 8:30, those damn kayakers.
Exactly.
I go from 8 to 8:30 and I hold a rod out with one hand and a GoPro with the other hand and go and walk down a dock to get those underwater stuff.
Oh, so you put a GoPro on a stick and put it under the water?
Yeah, it's a selfie stick.
Yeah.
And then I position it so it's like this.
Yeah.
And then I take my rod and I have my rod and I try to match them up as they go by. And then the only problem is that you have to worry about the depth of where that lure is. Like you see some of the early ones, you see it dive out of the screen for a second and come up.
Yeah.
In that case, I got to raise my arm up to get the lure to come up. And usually when I go to Wekiva State Park, there's a crowd of people that will sit there and watch me film. And really, if I could have a whole thing on this. They'll start talking to me while I'm filming, and I'll be answering questions as I'm filming. And even though
you don't say, "Hey, look, this is a production here. People, move along."
And the amount of times that the park rangers will come out of nowhere and be like, "You can't be fishing here," and I'm like, "Okay, look, I know I have a fishing rod and I have a lure, but do you really think I'm fishing 24 inches off the end of my rod?" And I've had to train them to go, okay, he's filming something.
Uh-huh.
But in a couple, I don't know if they've shown up yet. There's a couple of the new ones where there's a giant school of humongous tilapia right there where I'm doing it. And the tilapia, wow. And I couldn't see the tilapia, or I'm not really concentrating on what else is in the water.
Uh-huh.
But as the lure gets in the water, they start coming towards the tilapia start coming towards the lure.
Oh.
And I'm like, you gotta be joking, how cool. And you would never notice it unless you sat down and slow motioned the video.
Wow, that's cool.
So I think you start to see them in that Momodi one. You start seeing them in the background there, but they get closer as the stuff goes. So I think I only have. I can tell you exactly. I'm working on 113.
Wow. 113 of them?
I didn't think I had that many.
That is crazy.
113 I'm working on right now. So,
because
there's going to be a time when some of these lures will go through a slow period here soon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to just be ahead of the game. That's all.
Okay. Cool.
Well, we can kind of sort of wrap it up.
Yeah, I think we
close.
can. Yeah, I think we're close enough.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, thanks everybody for hopping on the show tonight. And again, thank you, Bill Lowen, for coming and sharing with us. It was great to have you on the show as well. Everybody hit that like button. Be sure to tune in this Saturday night. I'll be on with Debo. Sunday night, Mr. Bass Live. And then next week, put it on your calendar, Bassmaster Classic champion Hank Cherry will be on the show. It should be a great, great show.
I just texted you something.
Just texted me?
Yeah, I texted you Bill's information.
All right, right on. Great. Okay, wrap us up, Steve.
Remember, take your kid fishing, get your fish on. And what do you say?
I say happy fishing.
Happy fishing. I wanted you to say it.
Happy fishing.
See you guys later.
See you guys later.